When you enter Notre Dame Cathedral and look down the nave to the choir, you see a large cross surrounded by statues. A cross this size and statues like this do not belong in a Gothic choir. They are later additions which commemorate the vow of Louis XIII. Let me tell you that amazing story. Louis XIII was born in 1601. He was the son of Henry IV and Maria de' Medici. In 1610, his father was assassinated. Although he became the king at the age of 9, France was governed by a regent, his mother, Maria de' Medici. 13 years old, and under the influence of Charles, the Duke of Ligne, he consented to the liquidation of his mother's favorite advisers, Concini and Galigai. 4 years later, he exiled his mother to a chateau in Blois. And from that time, until his death in 1643, Louis XIII relied entirely on the advice of a cardinal, Cardinal Richelieu. Louis had married at the age of 14. His wife was Anne of Austria, the Spanish Infanta. The arranged marriage was not very happy. Louis and Anne spent years living apart, and for many years the marriage remained barren. Later in his reign, Louis XIII was confronted with a Protestant rebellion at La Rochelle. He made a vow to consecrate his person, his family, and his kingdom to the Virgin Mary and her Assumption, if he succeeded to quell the Protestant rebellion, and if a heir to the throne was granted. La Rochelle surrendered, and Anne of Austria, she got pregnant after 23 years of marriage. On the 10th of February, 1638, Louis XIII issued the Declaration of Saint-Germain. It reads as follows: We declare that taking the very holy and glorious Virgin Mary as special protectress of our kingdom, we particularly consecrate to her ourselves, the state, our crown, and our subjects. That posterity doesn't fail to follow our will in the matter, as a monument and immortal sign of the present consecration we are making. We shall build anew the great altar of the Cathedral of Paris, with an image of the Virgin holding in her arms her precious Son descending from the cross, and representing us at the foot of the Son and the Mother, as offering to them our crown and our scepter. We notify the Lord Archbishop of Paris, and order him that every year, on the Feast of the Assumption, he should commemorate our present declaration at High Mass, and that after that day's Vespers a procession should be made within the church, which will be attended by all the sovereign companies and corps de ville, with the same ceremonials which are observed for the most solemn general procession. Signed, Louis. 6 months later, on the 15th of August, a first procession is made in commemoration of the vow. On the 5th of September, his wife, Queen Anne of Austria, gives birth to a son. He receives the name Louis Dieudonné, Louis God-given, the future Louis XIV. The next day, on the 6th of September, Louis XIII attends a Te Deum in Notre Dame Cathedral. Louis XIII never fulfilled his promise to build a great altar. Neither did he realize the image of the king kneeling in front of a Pietà. However, he presented the cathedral with Philip de Champagne's great painting, The Vow of Louis XIII, which was hung in the chapel of the Virgin. Almost 60 years after his death, his son Louis XIV decided to pay the religious debts of his father. The long-postponed monument of Louis XIII required a specific setting in the chancel of Notre Dame in Paris. Architect Robert de Cotte was assigned the task in 1708. Nicolas Cousteau created a Descent from the Cross, clearly modeled after Michelangelo's Pietà. He also sculptured King Louis XIII consecrating his crown to the Virgin. Louis XIV wanted to be included in the company of Christ, the Virgin, and his father. So he ordered Coissevaux to immortalize him. Look at the vow of Louis XIII, cut out of marble. We shall build anew the great altar of the Cathedral of Paris, with an image of the Virgin, holding in her arms her precious Son descending from the cross, and representing us at the foot of the Son and the Mother, as offering to them our crown and our scepter.